Friends, we will first have the interventions from each one of you. And as the session progresses, we will give you a second round for a closing comment from you. So this is how the session is going to progress. And I hope all of you have an understanding that initially there'll be an intervention or the slides that you want to show, and then we'll come back to you for a closing comment before summing up the event, right? And now we will start it. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, as per your time zones. Excellencies, dignitaries, eminent speakers, experts, and online audience. I welcome you all to this high-level policy dialogue on multisectoral partnerships for the conservation and restoration of marine and coastal ecosystems being organized by India Water Foundation as an official side event of the UN 2025 Ocean Conference. Coastal regions, home to 40% of the global population and 12 of the world's 15 largest cities, face unique challenges. These areas, with their access to water, scenic beauty, and economic opportunities, are under pressure from intense human activities and the triple planetary crisis of pollution, biodiversity loss, and climate change. Leaving only 15% of coastlines in a natural state. Blue ecosystems spanning the water continuum are vital for communities, jobs, the global economy, food security, and climate resilience. They are critical to the achievement of the global biodiversity framework and all sustainable development goals. The ocean, a major carbon and heat sink, absorbs over 90% of excess heat and 30% of human-induced carbon dioxide emissions. The ocean economy contributes over $1.5 trillion annually, supporting diverse cultures and economies. Despite all these benefits, these coastal ecosystems and marine habitats are facing unprecedented threat, with 66% of coastal areas already altered and degraded. SDG 14 holds the immense potential to both address the triple planetary crisis and underpin economic growth. The ocean is our largest ecosystem and yet is the least funded of all SDGs. Bottom contact fisheries, which use indiscriminate trawling, physically damage almost 5 million square kilometers of the seafloor each year. Marine litter and chemical pollution are increasingly disrupting key ecosystem processes and putting marine biodiversity at risk. Although oil and gas drilling typically cause damage in specific areas, accidents like Deepwater Horizon oil spills have had serious and lasting effects on deep sea wildlife. So, how can restoration initiatives be made more inclusive and responsive? What are the needs of coastal communities, especially women, fishers, and indigenous groups? How can we stop these wonderful ecosystems from becoming humanity's dumping yard? To analyze the same, we have organized this event, bringing together leaders and experts from across sectors, multidimensional organizations, to deliberate and serve as a space for discussion, recommendations, and gather support and commitment for joint action towards a more resilient marine ecosystem. To initiate this session, I request Dr. Arvind Kumar, President, India Water Foundation, to set up the tone of this event. Dr. Kumar is a strategist and key influencer in development sector with more than 30 years of experience as an author and columnist, water activist, and specializes in concepts like ecosystem-based adaptation, water energy food nexus, with specific emphasis on transversal approach of interlinkages between water, environment, and SDGs. Dr. Arvind Kumar, please.
Thank you, Seta. And good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Bharat Lalji, Secretary General, National Human Rights Commission of India, Dr. Yutoka Misinda, Chair, IOC, UNESCO Special Presidential Envoy for UN Ocean Decade, the University of Tokyo, Ms. Ininis Jima, Acting Head of the Marine and Freshwater Branch, UNEP, Dr. Isam Yassin Mohammed, Senior Director of Aquatic Food Systems, CGR Director General, World Fish, Ms. Mr. Sanath Ranavana, Director, Agriculture, Food, Nature, and Rural Development Sector Group, Asian Development Bank, Dr. Stephen Nord, Chairman, National Ocean Decade Committee, Germany, Dr. Rishi Sharma, Senior Fishery Officer, FAO Regional Office for Asia and Pacific, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, scientist C in Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services, Government of India, Miss Ina Molat, Manager, Flanders Marine Institute, Belgium, distinguished guests, delegates, and colleagues. It is my great honor to welcome you all to this vital policy dialogue held at as an official side event of the 2025 UN Ocean Conference. Today, we unite voices across institutions, sectors, and geographies. Uh, we are reminded for our collective responsibility to safeguard the life systems that cradle our planet's vitality, our oceans. Oceans are the planet's life support system, absorbing nearly 23% of annual CO2 emissions and over 90% of the excess heat generated by the climate change. In doing so, they play a pivotal role in regulating global climate and weather patterns. Yet, this vital system is now under unprecedented stress. Sea surfaces uh, temperature has reached a record high, and the world oceans are approximately 30% more acidic than they were in the pre-industrial times. This acidification combined with rising temperatures is causing a dramatic decline in dissolved oxygen, pushing marine ecosystem towards a tipping point. The urgency of the situation is underscored by the United Nations latest findings to limit global warming to 1.5 degree. Global emissions must be, peak before 2025 and be cut by 43% by 2030. This is no small task. It demands transformational shift across sectors. One of the starkest indicators of our ocean crisis, the ongoing global coral bleaching events, which has affected 84% of the world's coral reef across 82 countries. Coral reefs often described as the rainforest of the sea, support nearly a quarter of all marine species and act as a natural barriers, protecting coastal communities from the storm and surge and erosion. Their decline is a clarion call, a vivid reminder of the cascading impact of the unchecked climate change on marine life, biodiversity, and human well-being. Plastic pollution has reached catastrophic levels with a estimated 75 to 199 million tons of plastic waste now contaminating our oceans. The surge of debris poses grave threats not only to marine biodiversity but also to food security, safety, and human health. Microplastics and toxic chemicals have infiltrated the food chain with the emerging research linking their accumulation to serious health risks, including infertility, cancer, and neurological disorders. At the same time, overfishing and unsustainable explorations are depleting fish stocks at an alarming rate. This jeopardizes the food security for billions and undermine the livelihoods of billions who rely on healthy marine ecosystems. The situation is compounded by the loss of critical marine habitats and species, with nearly 10% of known marine species facing extinction. These trends demand swift implementation of the High Seas Treaty and uh, renewed global momentum to achieve the 30 by 30 target, protecting 30% of the world's ocean by 2030 as envisioned in Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. The economic fallout of ocean degradation is equally profound. Goods and services from the ocean generate about the 2.5 trillion USD each year, a amount expected to double the 2030, making the ocean equivalent to the seventh largest economy in the world today. The erosion of the marine ecosystems is causing billions of the dollar in losses to the blue economy, disrupting global supply chains, and the threatening industries ranging from fisheries to the coastal tourism. As sea level rise and polar ice melts, entire coastal population are being displaced, while the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events increase, worsening vulnerabilities and exacerbating global inequality. The policy dialogue is designed to serve as a catalyst where knowledge translates into policy and policy into transformative action. As we reflect on the systemic linkages between the climate change, unsustainable coastal management, ecosystem collapse, and livelihood security, we must also align our strategies with global framework such as the UNCLOS, CBD, KMGBF, and Paris Agreement and Sustainable Development Goals to steer our collective responses. The time has come to be bold and constructive. Developing countries need targeted support, not only funding, but also technical assistance, institutional strengthening, and localized innovation. This is a shared responsibility. Governments, multilateral agencies, private sector, industry, academia, and civil society must come together to forge integrated, nature-based, and forward-looking solutions. We have to institutionalize such polycentric models where innovation is local, coordination is cross-sectoral, and governance is collaborative for long-term resilience. I am confident that our distinguished speaker will share pioneering models and pathways that reflect this ethos towards a more climate resilient world. As organizers, we hope this dialogue serve as more than a platform for discussion. It must be a springboard for transformation. Together, let's start a new course, one defined not by what we expect, but by how we protect and restore and sustain. Thank you, and I wish you all as a meaningful, impactful exchange ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kumar, for setting up the tone of the event. For our chair address, I invite Shri Bharat Lal, a former civil servant with over 3.5 decades of distinguished public service. He is a Secretary General and CEO of the National Human Rights Commission of India. His career has been defined by pioneering initiatives in good governance, human rights, public service delivery, environmental conservation, and sustainable development, making impactful contributions to improving quality of lives and dignity, and ensuring protection of the marginalized and vulnerable communities, including women and tribal populations. Shri Bharat Lal, please.
Thank you, Shrita. Good afternoon, good evening to everyone, wherever you are. Let me first thank Dr. Arvind Kumar for bringing all of us together. And I'm genuinely very happy to be in midst of such esteemed panelists and distinguished speakers. Well, the topic itself actually, very, very interesting topic, that policy dialogue and multi-sectoral partnership for conservation and restoration of marine and coastal ecosystem. I think very critical, very timely, and for which I would like to compliment India Water Foundation, Dr. Arvind Kumar and Sweta ji for organizing this meet. Well, I think we are going to discuss a lot many things, and all very knowledgeable people are here. So I would not like to delve too many this thing. I just point out few part that I think this discussion is going to help in building that momentum on UN Ocean Conference 2025. So I think it's a very good step. And basically, it also brings that urgency, that ocean conservation. And basically, it also affirms our commitment, urgency for basically, implementing SDG 14, life below water. So in this context, I see that it's a very relevant topic and very, very timely. As we all know that ocean regulate climate, generate oxygen, and sustain biodiversity. They directly support the livelihoods of over 3 billion people. I think I think this criticality we all have to understand, and more importantly, I think we have to explain this criticality to policymakers, general public, that this is the importance of ocean. I think let's collectively get into it, protecting it, not destroying it. Let's contribute in protecting and preserving and conserving rather than destroying it, basically. Well, my understanding is that OECD estimates indicate that I think this ocean economy, the ocean annual gross marine product, the way I would like to put it, is roughly $2.6 trillion annually. And if we see $2.6 trillion had it been one country, it means, well, it is the seventh largest economy. It is seventh largest economy, actually, Well, as we all know that over 90% of excess heat from global warming has been absorbed by the ocean. Coral reef, which supports 25% of all marine life, are projected to decline by 70 to 90%. 70 to 90% at 1.5 degree warming and face near total loss at 2 degrees centigrade. So I think one of the critical job of people like you all including me is to educate policymakers, bureaucrats, civil servants, and that what is the urgency and why we should be doing that. Another point I would like to talk about is ocean acidification, basically, which has increased by 26% since pre-industrial age. I think this is another one area that the way we are releasing basically, all kind of pollutants and all kind of discharge, I think it is is a problem. Another point is that depleting fish stock, actually, over 35% are being harvested at unsustainable level. I think if everything we are going to sustain to harvest in this fashion, what we are going to leave for our future generation, basically, So I think this gathering is basically understand the challenges. Now here is our job is that how to involve and influence other people, basically, to get into conservation, put their money where the mouth is. It's not about only talking about challenges and this thing is all about implementation and all about So to me, this forum is basically an opportunity to advance beyond recognition towards implementation. And in implementation also, I would suggest basically A, collaboration, B, data-driven, third, right-based. Third is right-based, and fourth is basically outcome-oriented, action. These are the four things basically I would like to emphasize, that collaborative, data-driven, right-based, and outcome-oriented action. I think we should be, if we are able to do this, I think we are going to do a great service, basically. Well, integrated marine governance anchored in scientific evidence and socioeconomic equity is imperative to building resilient coastal future. I think these four things basically build towards, The most important is that if you see the globally, I mean, in last few years, I have been in different ways involved in this exercise. So whether it's a BIMSTEC or let's say IORA or ASEAN or, there are many groups basically who are working actually on this thing. And this is a forum basically, which can be used further emphasizing and further facilitating, Well, a proposed South Asia Middle East Blue Carbon Protocol, I think could be a standardized methodology for carbon accounting, enabling countries to access result-based climate finance under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Standardization would also support project certification through platforms like verified carbon standards. Nationally, India, let's say more than 7,500 kilometer long coastline and 2.02 million square kilometer exclusive economic zone. are economically and ecologically both are very significant. The coastal economy contributes of India's GDP actually, with ports handling around 95% trade by volume, and 28 million people depend directly or indirectly on coastal and marine ecosystem for their livelihood. As you know, India has been on forefront in conservation, including marine conservation. I think you are all very aware. I mean, I have been part of, in some way, I was involved in Marin National Park in Gujarat, actually. So I think a lot of things have been done. And in fact, there are many states in this country, we have given a model actually where development and conservation, they can go side by side. I think the mitigation and adaptation, the kind of things have been done and is being done, especially in last 11 years. I think one of the examples, you might have noted that mangrove area under mangrove is on increase, continuously is increasing actually, despite in all these coastal area, a lot of development and economic development is taking place, So, well, we are further strengthening our integrated coastal zone management and policy like Sagar, what very, very popularly called is security and growth for all the region, basically. And initiative like Deep Ocean Mission and components under National Action Plan for Climate Change are aligned towards long-term coastal resilience. At the local level, basically, nature-based solutions such as mangrove buffers and dune rehabilitation are cost-effective, and we would like to promote these activities. In fact, the World Bank estimates that nature-based solution could reduce disaster-related losses by $100 billion annually. So I think this community-based risk mapping, inclusive planning tools, and digital monitoring system, mobile GIS, AI-enabled sensors are needed for granular and people-centric adaptation. Well, ocean governance requires multisectoral coherence. At times, fragmented mandates across ministries, departments, and various parastatal organizations, they pose challenge basically, whether it's environment, shipping, fisheries, tourism, or disaster management. Of course, but there are models, and we are working. In fact, as I explained to you, that mangrove restoration and coastal afforestation, these are one of the classic example in Tamil Nadu, Odisha, where public-private partnership have been brought together to increase the biodiversity and storm protection. Similarly, in Gujarat, women-led SHGs in Okha region, basically, it is a westernmost tip of the country, have promoted seaweed farming actually, which combines sustainable income with ecosystem services. So indigenous knowledge system, especially from the Sundarbans, Lakshadweep, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands, other context-specific resilience practices, a structured platform for knowledge exchange supported by academic institutions and civil society can ensure that traditional practices are preserved, documented, and integrated into mainstream planning. That is the way we all are working actually. Financing remains a core constraint. Globally, only 1.6% of total climate finance is allocated to ocean-based solution. Very, very, very tiny amount actually. A National Blue Resilience Fund could pool contribution from center and state budgets, CSR funding. In India, it is almost 26,000 crore rupees annually, basically. And international, roughly $3 billion basically is coming annually in CSR fund, basically. And international sources like Green Climate Fund, Global Environment Facility, and the Adaptation Fund. Well, innovation financial instrument must be mainstreamed. The Seychelles Blue Fund, issued in 2018 and backed by the World Bank and Global Environment Facility, raised 115 million for marine conservation. I think similar model can be adopted for Indian coastal states and areas. Well, blended finance, combining public investment with concessional debt, guarantees, and ESG-aligned private capital can reduce investor risk. Developing a marine project preparation toolkit with components such as blue ecosystem evaluation, environmental social impact assessment, and climate vulnerability scoring can enhance project bankability. Municipalities and coastal panchayats, local self-governments require institutional capacity building for assessing climate finance and issuing debt instrument, ensuring transparency and accountability in fund utilization. In fact, in India, there have been 13 or 14 municipal corporations who have issued municipal bond. So I think time has come that this can be taken in coastal areas and coastal township, because most of them are basically a lot of industrial activities going on and livelihood activities are going on. Well, for sound decision making require robust data. Between 1998 and 2013, the Western Indian Ocean has seen a 30% decline in phytoplankton, a key indicator of ocean productivity. Such ecological disruption affect fishery yields, coastal weather patterns, and food security. Expanding ocean observation system through NCOIS, National Center for Coastal Research, and collaboration with international networks like Global Ocean Observing System will enhance monitoring capacity. Citizen science initiatives such as the Marine Biodiversity Register, participatory plastic audits, and community temperature loggers can democratize data collection. Blue carbon ecosystem, at least mangroves, tidal marshes, and seagrasses, store 3 to 5 times more carbon per hectare than terrestrial forests and reduce coastal flooding by up to 50%. So these ecosystems must be prioritized in both mitigation and adaptation strategies backed by scientific monitoring and long-term institutional restoration funding. Coastal plant population, particularly small-scale fishermen, informal sector workers, tribal communities, and climate migrants face severe and often invisible vulnerabilities. Adaptation strategies must embed human rights principles. This includes ensuring free, prior, and informed consent for infrastructure projects and offering social protection like health insurance, pension, and job retaining. So far as the National Human Rights Commission of India is concerned, we recognize environmental and climate-related risks as part of right to life and dignity under Article 21 of the Constitution, which is a fundamental right. A state action must reflect this through accessible grievance redressal mechanism, legal aid services, and routine community consultation. Well, while concluding, I would say that, well, this high-level dialogue must conclude with a focused action-oriented roadmap addressing 3 major points. 1, transboundary governance, strengthening data sharing protocol, disaster coordination, and marine conservation treaties across South Asia and Indian Ocean region. Secondly is sustainable financing, operationalizing blue funds, mainstreaming blended finance, and enabling access to international climate capital. And third is inclusive resilience, deploying participatory tools, localized data, and right-based approaches for equitable marine adaptation. India, as a G20 member and a leading voice in the Global South, has been playing a catalytic role in shaping ocean resilience. As the 2025 UN Ocean Conference concludes, we move towards implementation. All stakeholders, state, institution, communities, and private sector must act with shared responsibility and strategic urgency. Restoration and conservation of marine and coastal ecosystem must no longer be treated as auxiliary environmental goals. They are foundational to climate adaptation, food security, economic sustainability, and the realization of human rights. So thank you all very much, and I look forward to outcome of this meet. And only one thing I can assure you that any conference or any kind of dialogue and discussion, once we receive is a recommendation, we always take it forward. So have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to wonderful discussion. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, and for apprising us of how India is taking development and conservation hand in hand. And I'm sure all of us are in alignment with you on the financial gap that needs to be rectified urgently. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shweta. Thank you so much.
Sir. Thank you. Our next speaker for this evening is Dr. Yutaka Mishida, Chair IOC UNESCO, Special Presidential Envoy for UN Ocean Decade. Dr. Mishida is a geophysicist specializing in physical oceanography. He joined the University of Tokyo's Ocean Research Institute in 2000. Former IOC Vice Chair, he became IOC Chair again in 2023. He holds prestigious awards, including the Japan Prime Minister's Prize. Dr. Mishida, please.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. I'm Yutaka Michida, as introduced. I'm now chair of the IOC Intergovernmental Oceanography Commission of UNESCO. I just came back to Tokyo from Nice, taking a 13 hours flight from Paris. So the excellencies and the distinct experts and colleagues, it's my great pleasure to be here with you to discuss about the issue. And before talking about my intervention, I like to, on behalf of the IOC, I'd like to express my highest appreciation to India for its continued strong and significant support to whole IOC activities for many years. And also, I also appreciate India, the initiative to to have played an important role in upgrading the IOC regional subcommittee, IOC India, up to the IOC subcommissions 2 years ago. It was a very good progress of the regional activity enhancement of the regional activities. I don't have any. I didn't have enough time to prepare the presentation file, so my apologies. But I'd like to try to do my best to capture the issues here today. So first, there are the three the guiding questions I already received, and I think the region and the national, the sub-region management of the coastal zone. And that in that connection, the maritime marine spatial planning is one of the key components. As I know, so I hope the IOC has been promoting the marine spatial planning by providing a platform, marine spatial planning, over nearly 20 years. So one of the issues will be how we construct multi-level, multi-scaled MSP for better coordination among marine spatial planning of different temporal and spatial scales. Some sort of the multi-layered management the structure will be necessary. So I like to emphasize the importance of regional initiatives. For example, through IOC India, just upgraded to the subcommission of IOC UNESCO. The should play key roles together with the related stakeholders to establish plan of management of coastal zones, taking fully into account the regional requirements, including those of indigenous communities as well. So this is an important point for the regional initiative. And actually, another IOC subcommission, WESPAC, Western Pacific, one of the regional subcommission of IOC. Actually, we have four regional subcommission, including IOC India. The WESPAC have been promoting marine spatial planning in the region from the regional perspectives. So this is one example, and the marine renewable energy plants require certain level of marine space. And in many countries, marine spatial planning have been set up to share the coastal marine space for the development of offshore wind farm, actually, to better coordinate the multiple utilization of coastal marine space. Marine spatial planning have been introduced in national marine policies because offshore wind farm is a newly developed utilization and would cause potentially a conflict with traditional users such as fisheries activities, including aquaculture and marine transportation. And but in addition, recently the blue carbon by blue carbon initiative, we have seen a rapid progress of the blue carbon initiative in these days. Blue carbon by creating new field of seagrass and seaweeds in coastal area to increase absorption of carbon dioxide there surely require the certain level of the marine space as well. So this is also a new utilization of coastal space, which should result in coordination with other existing users. Marine spatial planning is not a permanent fixation of the use of the coastal zone, but a need to continuous renewal and development. So, and the second point I'd like to mention is the 2 months ago, I had the opportunity to discuss with the Dr. Naoko Ishii. I hope somebody knows about her. She is now the special presidential envoy in the University of Tokyo, together with me. So she is responsible for the global commons conservation. In April, I had a discussion with her. The, the related issues discussed today here, and she mentioned about the importance of pricing, pricing priceless. For natural capital is quite important, but right now it's priceless. But we have to pricing the priceless of the natural capital. That is the important point for the future because the without such kind of activities, it is not easy for us to invest a lot natural capital directly. So that is her point. And she has been trying to set up some goals, which is to introduce the value of natural capital into, for example, the idea, for the long future perspective, the natural capital into balance sheets. So it's her the final goal, but discussion with Professor Naoko Ishii of University of Tokyo, she is the as a director of the Energy Transition Initiative Center for Global Commons, which is established in 2021 in University of Tokyo. So she explained the reason why the global commons are being damaged. It is that our economic system has not yet been able to properly put the value on this Earth system, I mean natural capital I mentioned. So we must ensure that those who help preserve the global common, including ocean, receive benefits. Academic sectors for economy has been discussing to build systems that makes it possible. She said that we were now going to enter an era of pricing the priceless, such as natural capital, to value the planet. Without proper valuation, humans will destroy the nature in the future. So one of the key issues on this is that such pricing only works when it ties to exchangeability, right? So without that, it is basically and practically meaningless. It's not easy, as you see, but we have to proceed this kind of direction. This is some sort of the conclusion of the discussion with the Professor Naoko Ishii. So the natural capital needs to be included in the balance sheet. The triggers are the transactions and the contacts. So we academic sector must nurture a professionalism who can assign monetary value to natural capital. So this kind of discussion we had, but I know it's not an easy way, but right now we cannot value the natural capital itself, but that should be considered in the future in terms of the proper investment to the natural capital, including the ocean conservation. So I would stop now and hope my comments be of some help today's discussion. And the Madam Chair mentioned that we'll have a second round of comments, but unfortunately I'll not be able to stay here until the end of the discussion today. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for that. But I'd like to emphasize again that for the second point, for the second round, I'd like to emphasize the importance of the open data sharing. It's a basis for all of the discussion, include not only the natural science but also the social science discussion, including the pricing priceless issue. So the IOC is keen to establish a new, not new system, enhanced data architecture. So to serve as the core system for the open data and information sharing for these purposes. So I like to stop now, and then I like to listen from the other participants' insights. As far as I'm here with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mishida. And I don't know, it's a very sensitive issue, but I am definitely sure that if we price the priceless, the abuse of the natural resources will stop. And it will not be that bad as it's happening right now. And of course, open data sharing is very important, and we all have been advocating for it since long. Thank you so much, and we understand that what your emergency is. So thank you so much for taking out time for us. My next speaker for this evening is Ms. Sinikinesh Veyanjema. She's acting head of UNEP's Marine and Freshwater Branch and chief of its Marine and Coastal Ecosystems Unit. With over 2 decades of global experience, she leads UNEP work on conservation, restoration, and sustainable use of aquatic ecosystems. She serves on several executive boards, including the Global Fund for Coral Reefs. Ms. Jima, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Taji, for that kind introduction. Distinguished guests, participant, as well as observer protocols. I'm very happy to be here and represent UNEP on this special occasion on the high-level panel organized by the Indian Water Institute organization. Can you see my screen, please?
We can see you.
You can see me.
Yeah, now we can see on the screen.
So based on the guiding question that have been presented by the organizers, we'll be speaking on why we need to conserve marine and the coastal ecosystem in the ocean, the strategic action to adapt to climate change in the marine and the coastal area, as well as I'll be presenting about how we can strengthen multisectoral partnership to enhance the resilience of coastal and the marine ecosystem in the ocean. So as we maybe know that United Nations Environment Programme is authoritative environmental arm of the UN that sets global environmental policies and keep the environment under review. By doing so, we support member states to adapt to the accelerating climate change impacts, also ecosystem conservation, building the resilience of the biodiversity, as well as the ecosystem services through nature-based solution. So in this slide, the conservation and the restoration of marine coastal ecosystems, as well as the sustainable use, is vital because these ecosystems have a central role in terms of reducing the impact of climate change, especially regulating climate across the world. They also have a cross-cutting contribution to achievement of many of the sustainable development goals. We can mention Sustainable Development 1 and 2 on food security, on Paris Agreement, reducing carbon emission, also the implementation of the Global Biodiversity Framework, the BBNJ Agreement, as has been mentioned by the previous speakers. So also, I can't overemphasize the importance of ocean as a key supporter of life on Earth. However, the ecosystem services of the ocean and its ecosystem has been reducing, and the ocean health has been impacted by the impact of climate change. We have been facing ocean warming, the sea level rise, acidification, deoxidation has been like the major causes that reduces the ecosystem services that the ocean could provide for the life on Earth. As of today, we knew that only 8% of the ocean is under protected area or conserved area. However, we are very close to 2030, where we promised to ourselves that we're going to conserve 30% of the ocean and the marine ecosystem. So what strategic action can help us to enhance coastal and the marine ecosystem? I would like to talk about the area-based management tools that we have, especially the integrated coastal zone management, the marine spatial planning, the land sea planning processes, sustainable blue economy, marine protected area, because these tools really provide a framework that promote a coherent and a multisectoral participatory approach, which help us to implement an integrated ocean-based actions, especially that can be captured into the national determined contribution of member states. But also this also help us to build a sustainable pathway because it will accelerate the decarbonization of economies at national, regional, and global level through the ecosystem-based approaches and the solution. So the ocean-based climate actions are mainly focusing on ecosystem-based adaptation, but also nature-based solution that will build a resilient ecosystem and society. So in terms of the integrated coastal zone management, I think most of the country, like a big country like India, usually adopt this one because the integrated coastal zone management supports the interconnectedness of the coastal ecosystems by bringing a holistic approach in terms of bringing integrated to our economy, especially the blue economies around the coastal area, because the coastal areas are complicated as well as they are like the interface between human activity and the ecosystem itself. So it is important that policy are well informed to reflect the diverse needs, but also the challenges that the coastal ecosystem are facing. The other area that strategic action should be restoration and conservation of the natural buffers, such as the mangroves, the wetlands, seagrasses, and coral reef, because they are our frontier natural defense from extreme events, both protecting the economy, human being, but also the other ecosystem. So still the conservation, adaptation, and the mitigation practices are very important to conserve these critical habitats. The third part of the strategic action that I propose is adaptive management and a learning system. This is not only for human being, but also for ecosystem. We are facing a very dynamic climate change impacts, so it requires a very sensitive and flexible and responsive approach. For that, regular assessment of the ecosystem, the environment, and adjusting our policies and the strategies accordingly is very important. So the data and information sharing, access, and the transparency is really critical for a small island developing state, for developing country and the coastal countries, but also bringing traditional knowledge in terms of conservation by the local community, the wisdom of indigenous people, and integrating that one into the modern science is very important. This also supports us in terms of fostering an innovative solution that strengthens across stakeholders' engagement and the contribution. The last one is about connectedness and integration of concepts, systems, and actions. As you see on this diagram, we have so many types of concept ideas that we put in place. They are important. However, there must be interconnectedness. So our work should be connected and build this on scaling the impacts of our intervention rather than it is fragmented across small silos. For that reason, we have to bring a system level approach or deliver at the system level to address or tackle the triple planetary crisis across the water continuum, from local to global, from mountainscape to seascape. Our work should be connected. Policy should speak to the national level priorities and the community's needs. So, and this UNEP work across the marine and the coastal ecosystem, but also connecting that one into the freshwater ecosystem, leading to the land sea planning and integration of our work through the water continuum. So the fifth area of work is expanding the knowledge base, especially creating of a community of practices, scientific platforms, and a network. This is very vital. As I say, UNEP is working to bring science and technology, science and policy in an integrated manner. So our policy-making processes, program and policy design are mainly supported by evidence-based processes and data and science. On the last one, fostering cross-sectoral partnership, why we need that one, how we're going to foster, because climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution are existential threats to the biodiversity, to life on the earth. So for that, no single institution or organization can address them alone. So cross-sectoral collaboration is not just an option for us, it is a necessity of mankind on this earth, so we conserve our precious resources. So we must be coming together to share stewardship to our ocean, to our ecosystem. So the cross-sectoral partnership is very important because it helps us to pull on resources, especially finance and expertise. For example, if I mention this one, the UNEP Adaptation Gap Report shows that developing countries require more than $3 billion per year by 2030 to achieve resilient ecosystem and community. But the tracked resource as of now is 21 billion. So for ocean, as it is mentioned by the previous speaker, is less than 1% is going to the ocean-based solution. So it's important that we fast track the resource mobilization and cross-sectoral partnership. The other one is cross-sectoral partnership would promote innovation, especially bringing a series of cutting-edge solutions to our problems, but also it is empower also the local community and indigenous people as a custodian marine resources. Finally, this is my last slide, sorry if I'm taking too much time. We have to enhance international cooperation in the financing mechanism. Especially the public-private finances, blue and green, and also grey finances. We have to triple the contribution of resources for adaptation. We have to also work on, maybe this can be my last word, is our ambition for nature must be matched with what we are doing through especially nature positive investments. It has been mentioned that we have a number of bilateral and multilateral funding mechanisms. I don't want to repeat them, but we need to scale up this powerful tool in terms of creating a sustainable coastal and marine ecosystem. The last one is the ocean, marine and the coastal ecosystem are not just vulnerable and the victims of the climate change and our anthropological actions, they are also powerful solution. As you see on the slide, sustainable economy alone can mobilize huge resources and generate more than 31% of direct jobs, 60% of the biosphere economic values. For that, we can tap into big resources to solve the global biodiversity loss and climate change impacts. I thank you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jima, for apprising us of the wonderful work that UNEP is doing. And of course, cross-sectoral partnerships and multi-stakeholder partnerships are a must if we want to restore any of our ecosystems. Thank you so much. The next speaker for today's evening is Dr. Essam Yassin Mohammed, Director General of World Fish. He leads global research and innovation in aquatic food systems. With expertise in fisheries, science, and environmental economics, he integrates economic and conservation strategies to promote sustainable development. Renowned for influential publications and international advocacy, Dr. Mohammed drives World Fish's impact on food security, nutrition, and livelihoods through science, technology, and strategic partnerships. He has shared his intervention in form of a victory address, and I will be sharing it with you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues, and partners, it is a great honor to speak at this important side event of the United Nations Ocean Conference hosted by the India Water Foundation. The theme of this event, which is a multisectoral partnership for marine and coastal ecosystem conservation, is not only timely, but central to our mission at World Fish, an international organization transforming aquatic food systems to be more sustainable, inclusive, and resilient across Asia, Africa, and the Pacific. Around the world, communities and ecosystems are under mounting pressure from climate change, biodiversity loss, overfishing, and unsustainable development. Responding to these challenges requires more than technical solutions. It requires collaboration across sectors, across borders, and across disciplines. Let me share with you 5 examples of how WorldFish is advancing this work through impactful partnerships that integrate science, policy, and local action. First, in South and Southeast Asia, the EcoFish program, which is short for Enhanced Coastal Fisheries in Bangladesh, has demonstrated the power of regional collaboration to support small-scale fisheries and coastal ecosystem restoration. In partnership with a number of development partners, national agencies such as the Bangladesh Fisheries Research Institute, and universities, we've helped restore fish habitats, reduce illegal fishing, and improve livelihoods. The project has supported co-management practices in over 12 coastal zones and contributed to the recovery of key species such as hilsa. Thousands of fishing households have directly benefited from improved governance, training, and access to alternative livelihoods. This initiative shows how science-based fisheries management, when combined with strong institutional partnerships and community engagement, can yield tangible ecological and social outcomes. In another example, through the Asia-Africa Blue-Tech Superhighway, WorldFish and partners are advancing integrated multi-trophic aquaculture, or in short, IMTA, as a nature-positive solution for sustainable food production. This innovative approach involves farming seaweed, shellfish, and finfish together in a single system, allowing for nutrient recycling and reducing environmental impacts. Working with national aquaculture research institutions in countries like Kenya, Bangladesh, and Nigeria, we are facilitating South-South collaboration and technology transfer. These efforts are not only building capacity in climate-smart aquaculture, but also connecting policymakers, scientists, and entrepreneurs across continents. As a result, countries in both Asia and Africa are beginning to adopt more resilient, circular aquaculture models that support livelihoods while restoring coastal ecosystems. In another example, in Malaysia and the Solomon Islands, the Kaina Initiative, which is short for Climate Adaptive Inclusive Nature-Based Aquaculture, is another example of innovation through partnership. Supported by Canada's International Development Research Centre and implemented in collaboration with local communities, ministries, and universities, Kaina focuses on developing nature-positive aquaculture systems that enhance biodiversity, reduce climate vulnerability, and support inclusive growth. This includes integrating mangrove restoration, seaweed farming, and low-impact aquaculture techniques that are co-designed with local stakeholders. The project is not only improving household food and income security, but also strengthening the ecological integrity of coastal areas, especially in places where communities are highly dependent on natural resources and particularly vulnerable to climate change. Now let's move to Timor-Leste. The Ikan Bafuturu project embodies the kind of partnership-driven development we believe in. Supported by the Minderu Foundation and implemented with the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, local NGOs, and the community groups, this project has expanded community-based marine protected areas in vulnerable coastal regions. Ikan Bafuturu demonstrates that when national governments, donors, and communities collaborate around a shared vision, we can restore ecosystems while addressing malnutrition and poverty. In the Solomon Islands, WorldFish has worked since 2011 to support community-based resource management, partnering with the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resource, local village communities, and academic institutions, like the University of South Pacific. Together, we have supported the development of locally managed marine areas. These areas are governed through a mix of customary marine tenure and scientific monitoring, empowering communities to manage their resources according to both tradition and evidence. The result has been not only healthier coral reefs and fish populations, but also stronger social cohesion and increased participation of women and youth in local governance. And finally, through our current work in India, which focus on inland ecosystems, it stands as a compelling example of how strong multisectoral partnerships can drive sustainable impact. In partnership with national and state governments, WorldFish is promoting the sustainable use of freshwater resources such as Gram Panchayat tanks, community managed water bodies widely found across rural India. By enhancing the productivity of these tanks through improved aquaculture practices and ecosystem-based management, we are helping to transform underutilized resources into engines of inclusive growth. A central focus of this work is empowering women through self-help groups who are being trained in fish farming, value addition, and market access. These women-led initiatives not only boost household incomes and nutrition, but also foster community stewardship of aquatic resources. Although situated away from coastal zones, this work exemplifies how integrated, locally grounded approach in inland waters can contribute meaningfully to broader goals of ecosystem conservation, social equity, and resilient aquatic food systems. Friends and colleagues, across all of these initiatives, a common thread is clear. Sustainable ocean and coastal stewardship is only possible when we work together. The restoration of ecosystems cannot be the sole responsibility of environmental agencies or marine scientists for that matter. It requires integrated approaches that bring together fisheries, food systems, climate, and development actors across government, civil society, the private sector, and most importantly, the communities that rely on these resources every day. At WorldFish, we see our role not just as a research institution, but as a bridge builder and facilitator, connecting evidence with action, local priorities with global goals, and diverse actors with shared purpose. Through our work, we aim to deliver a triple win for nature, people, and climate, advancing solutions that restore ecosystems, support livelihoods, and build climate resilience. Aquatic foods lie at the heart of this effort, offering a powerful pathway toward healthy people, a healthy planet, and shared prosperity for all. Thank you once again to the India Water Foundation for convening this vital conversation, and to all of you for your continued commitment to restoring and protecting our blue planet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Assam. And you have rightly pointed out how it's not just the duty of research institutions, governments, and environmental organizations alone, but the onus lies on every individual, especially the communities who are living near the coastal areas. The onus lies on them as well. Thank you so much for taking out time for us. My next speaker is Mr. Sanat Ranawana. He has over 25 years of work experience with international development organizations like ADB, World Bank, and UNEP in agriculture, natural resource environment, and rural development. He holds master's degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and the University of Texas at Austin, and an undergraduate degree from the State University of New York College of Environmental Sciences and Forestry. Right now, he works with ADB as a coastal expert. So Mr. Ranawana has also shared his intervention in form of a video address, and I'll be sharing it with you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sanat Ranavana. I'm the director for the Natural Capital and Climate team within Asian Development Bank's sector group that's responsible for agriculture, food, nature, and rural development. I'm honored to be able to share Asian Development Bank's perspectives on enhancing coastal resilience in Asia and the Pacific with you at this important event today. Let me upload a few slides to take you through my presentation. So, in Asia and the Pacific, coastal areas are hugely significant from economic, ecological, and social perspectives. Coastal areas sustain the livelihoods of over 100 million people, mostly smallholder fisher folk and small and medium entrepreneurs operating tourism or fisheries-related enterprises. Coastal areas also support a significant share of the GDPs of each country, linked to vital sectors such as fisheries, aquaculture, tourism, shipping, and energy. In terms of biodiversity, coastal areas are also extremely valuable. They are home to coral reefs, estuaries, mangroves, coastal wetlands, and mudflats, all of which harbor large numbers of flora and fauna. But these coastal systems are under accelerated threats. Ad hoc and unplanned developments, overexploitation of coastal resources, rising temperatures and sea levels, intensification of storms, cyclones, and other natural disasters are all contributing to unprecedented levels of ecosystem degradation and biodiversity loss. These trends are undermining the food systems, the economic livelihoods, and the well-being of millions of people. So the economic argument is clear. Failure to address the threats to coastal region could result in economic losses exceeding 2.8% of GDP by 2100, according to our estimates. Coastal adaptation costs for countries can range from 9 to 17 billion annually, but the benefits are projected to be at least 10 times as much through avoided damages, protected livelihoods, and enhanced resilience. So investing in coastal resilience is not only urgent, it is economical, it is cost-effective and equitable, and essential for long-term sustainable development. At ADB, we've committed to an investment of 40 billion by 2030 to support a transformation of Asia and the Pacific's food systems. Coastal and marine ecosystems are central to this effort. Sustainable fisheries, aquaculture, and coastal agriculture are pillars of a food system. Blue foods are the most highly traded animal proteins globally, according to a report by Stanford University. They offer more nutrients per calorie than terrestrial meats and offer life-changing benefits during the first 1,000 days of life. Our analysis indicates that the top 7 categories of nutrient-rich animal sources of food are all aquatic foods. Asia and the Pacific accounted for 91% of global aquaculture production in the year 2020, according to FAO. And the demand for aquatic foods is expected to double by 2050. If managed sustainably, marine and coastal ecosystems can continue to sustain livelihoods, generate economic dividends, and ensure food security for millions of people for years to come. So at ADB, our marine and coastal work is guided by a holistic, forward-looking set of principles designed to deliver long-term impact. Firstly, holistic solutions and governance. We support whole-of-system approaches such as source-to-sea or ridge-to-reef and integrated coastal zone management that connect ecosystem protection, food systems, infrastructure, and community development across coastal landscapes and seascapes. Our large landscape-level investments are grounded by strong community engagement from start to finish. Secondly, nature-based solutions. Mangrove restoration, coral reef protection, and wetland rehabilitation are critical for natural protection of against storms and other natural disasters. They enhance biodiversity, fisheries productivity, and carbon storage as well. ADB prioritizes biodiversity conservation and nature-based solutions, but also recognizes the need to integrate advanced engineering solutions. We often combine green and grey infrastructure in hybrid designs, such as seawalls with mangrove belts or dune protection with offshore breakwaters. These decisions must be context-specific, guided by local geomorphology, sediment transport, wave dynamics, ecology, and of course the needs of communities. We promote development of fisheries value chains for sustainable livelihoods, plus regenerative agriculture and coastal agriculture and ecotourism to diversify incomes, especially for women and vulnerable groups, and to reduce the pressure on marine resources. Next, regional public goods. We recognize that healthy marine and coastal ecosystems are not only national assets, but essential global and regional public goods, which support globally significant biodiversity, climate regulation, and food security objectives. Finally, sustainable and innovative financing. ADB mobilizes diverse financing tools to unlock investments in ocean health and resilience at scale. These range from mobilizing regional and global funds to catalyzing private sector investments in the blue economy. They also include efforts to mobilize sovereign capital through blue bonds and initiating payments for ecosystem services. We are also embedding ecosystem service values into national plans, policies, and programs and project designs, ensuring that nature is reflected in the economic and investment decisions. This integrated approach underpins ADB's efforts to increase coastal resilience, protect ecosystems and secure livelihoods, and transform food systems in the face of climate change. Please allow me to share 2 project case studies that demonstrate the above approaches. The first is a marine ecosystem and blue economy development program for the Philippines. Supported by ADB, this policy-based loan strengthens the foundations for a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient blue economy. The program has 3 key outputs. First is integrated marine and coastal governance. This output institutionalizes ecosystem-based marine spatial planning and integrated coastal management. It supports the adoption of national frameworks, legal reforms, and local government planning to align economic use with conservation, enhance coordination, and promote inclusive community-based ocean governance. Second, circular economy and plastics pollution reduction. This program advances the implementation of the Extended Producer Responsibility Act. It strengthens data systems and builds local capacity to reduce marine plastic leakage. It supports the integration of informal waste sector and aligns with the National Plastic Waste Management Roadmap. And third, natural capital investment and budgeting. This component helps to operationalize the PENCAS law, the Philippines Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting Systems Act, enabling agencies to integrate natural capital values into planning and budgeting. It also supports development of blue economy, satellite accounts, a blue carbon roadmap, and policies to mobilize investments in coastal ecosystems like mangroves and seagrasses. Together, these reforms aim to reduce marine pollution, strengthen coastal ecosystem protection, and embed sustainability and resilience at the heart of blue economy development in the Philippines. The next case study is from India, from the state of Kerala. Kerala's 590-kilometer coastline faces severe erosion, flooding, and storm surge risks, placing communities, livelihoods, and ecosystems under growing pressure from climate change. For this densely populated and modified coastline, the project adopts a hybrid approach, combining rehabilitation of hard infrastructure like seawalls with nature-based solutions such as mangroves, restoration, and beach nourishment. The project targets 12 highly vulnerable sites using site-specific designs informed by coastal erosion and flood risk modeling, ecological surveys, and social surveys to understand the needs of the communities. The project also promotes sustainable coastal economic development and livelihood diversification, local capacity building, and integration with broader coastal zone management policies, making it a model for climate resilient, science-based coastal adaptation in India and beyond. In closing, building coastal resilience in Asia and the Pacific is not only urgent, it is possible, but it requires bold investments in nature-based and food system solutions, governance models that empower local communities, multisectoral partnerships that break silos, and innovative financing solutions. We at ADB are happy to work with partners and stakeholders to restore the coasts and build a climate resilient future for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ranavama. And we definitely are in alignment with your thought that coastal communities have to be empowered and included in decision-making processes at all levels if we want the coastal and marine ecosystems to be restored. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Thank you. My next speaker, with Dr. Stefan Knott. He's the chairman of the board from the German UN Ocean Decade Committee and the head of business development at the German Aerospace Center, Institute of Maritime Energy Systems. He is also a member of the Africa-Europe Strategy Group on Ocean Governance by the Africa-Europe Foundation. Dr. Knott completed his doctorate in engineering at RWPH Ashen University and serves in the board of the German Association for Marine Technology. Dr. Knott, please.
Thanks a lot for the kind introduction. I hope you hear me well.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear, thankfully.
Wonderful. I'm speaking from Nice, directly opposite of the conference hall. So, yeah, greetings from Nice, and very happy to be invited here. And thanks also for the distinguished speakers before me for this kind introduction. So, speaking here for the UN Ocean Decade Committee in Germany. We are part of the IOC UNESCO framework to support the UN Ocean Decade, what is actually the decade for action about the ocean. We are in the midst of this decade, and we have the target for ocean science for sustainable development, what is of course very action-oriented and closely linked to the decade for ecosystem restoration, where also this is here in hand. So it has been mentioned by my previous speakers already that the ocean is of utmost importance for a lot of societal problems we have as of today, very closely linked to climate, food security, and others. So, of course, from a UN perspective, it is quite a topic where we have to speed up to bring the SDG 14 back on track in addition to the targets, as it is paramount importance for quite another number of SDGs. I also would like to thank India for their leadership on the G20 processes to bring also sustainable blue economy into the bigger picture, because everything what we do needs also to go hand in hand with economic development, with prosperity for the people in the coastline, to safeguard their livelihoods, what is of course closely linked to a safe and healthy ocean. What are the overall targets and ambitions here within the ocean decade? So what does that mean on collaboration and partnership? What we do also here in Germany, taking it a bit as an example. So when we started in Germany, we have been in the fortunate situation that actually the UN Ocean Decade had the kickoff conference in Germany. So there was quite a room to maneuver to a bit shape also our setup. Unfortunately, when the Ocean Decade was kicked off, that was just the beginning of COVID. So that was only a virtual event. So that has been a bit of a challenge for us to get all partnerships in place and create a momentum also across the different sectors. But that significantly has improved. So what we're actually doing within the Ocean Decade, we are a supportive organization where quite a number of experts are serving in the Decade Committee, where I'm the chairman of, and we not only have participants in this committee from science, we also have young professionals, we have NGOs in there, we have civil society, we have artists in there. So we are really trying to bring in there a broad perspective on why the ocean is so important for us in the future development, and also, of course, to bring the other topic then into light. And of course, and that's beside a bit the discussion on the Ocean Decade, Germany and others, they have been quite proactive over the recent years to bring forward the BBNJ agreement, the plastic treaty. So really working closely with other nations around the world to come up with the global framework on how we treat our common good of the ocean even better. Yeah, we are very much looking forward that close to 60 nations have signed the BBNJ agreement for the UN Oceans Conference, would be a really great achievement, and that the plastic treaty will follow, where in Switzerland and Geneva there are discussions going on. But that has been quite important milestones for us along the Ocean Decade, together with other nations, that we set a framework in place where now then after that the national legislation can build up on this and build the essential framework. The other thing, of course, we are working on, it has been also mentioned, that we are forming partnerships in Germany about how we could better collaborate within science. So we have a very close relationship to the so-called Deutsche Allianz Meeresforschung, or German Alliance Maritime Research, where more or less all scientific organizations dedicated to ocean science teamed up to work on defined missions who are quite solution-oriented in regards to the ocean. So, for example, we have, of course, at the moment, a strong driving force to bring our energy system up to renewables. Offshore wind there is quite important. So within our quite small maritime economic zone, We build currently quite a lot of offshore wind parks, but of course needs to be in balance with nature and marine protected areas, and of course also with other use of the seas like tourism. So that is dedicated a joint research initiative from all research institutions, how we can build the knowledge together with stakeholders and across disciplines to also advise the government and the industry how they could set up that industry in a sustainable way. Other examples, for example, are that we are working on the ecosystem restoration, carbon capture, blue carbon, and others, where of course everything comes into play what is in coastal resilience. Specific topic of us in Germany is the Baltic Sea, where you have a lot of pressure in from the farming, from climate change, temperature rise, dead zones in the Baltic Sea. We have issues that the fish stock in the Baltic Sea is on such a low level that commercial fishery is not possible anymore. So we are also working together with the former fishermen and qualifying them to become sea rangers and to support also the ecosystem restoration efforts. What is very, very important that we bring also the local communities into play. We also work internationally on this. So mangroves has been mentioned, coral reefs, and sea and salt marshes. In Germany, we have in the Baltic Sea mainly the topic of seagrass, what is of very high importance for the ecosystem and is of course helping for the ocean. The topic, and that's something I'm talking here from the Schwarzwald pool, where we today have a dedicated session where the finance sector and also investors are coming together and to see, of course, where we can support from the other side entrepreneurs and startups in that domain to build up their business, to scale up, where, of course, legal frameworks, national legislations, financial legislations are very important, where there's a strong commitment from the investor community to support the startups, to support the projects, to bring that to the next level. However, there are a lot of constraints where at the moment the dynamics is not as such as everybody would like to have it, but everybody is working on that. So blue bonds, the emission trading system, biodiversity credits, a lot of mechanisms are currently being developed to support those who support the ecosystems, who are working also within ecosystem restoration, that they can be provided with the economic model behind what they, of course, also deserve within their local communities. Nevertheless, and that's also a bit linked to BBNJ, the ambitious target of protection of the seas 30 by 30 is, of course, closely linked with the question how you can also work together with the local communities, with the fishermen and others, so that protection doesn't lead to conflicts in the economic interest. So it's really important that we have this stakeholder engagement with the general public. And therefore, of course, also Nice here is quite important for us, together with Costa Rica and France, to build up in the larger domain. Maybe a bit of a personal reflection, because that was also in the discussion here. Like, India is a very important partner, of course, for Europe in developing those nature-based solutions in coastal ecosystem restoration. A bit of my role was also to work together with the European Union on how we could work together with the African Union and those countries on those topics. What comes also to the point that in some regions, we simply also need to work on capacity building, ocean literacy, and helping those nations who yet not have the qualification and the infrastructure or research vessels in place, that they can also be part of that upcoming need for restoring the ecosystems. So that is really also an important part. We can't underestimate that we are all together helping those nations who yet not have the qualified workforce or the scientists in place, that they simply can build relationship with the ocean and build up on this. So that's also a very important part of the Ocean Decade, where we work across stakeholders. And of course, the industry also has an important role because you have companies around who are producing in that countries who would like to support this development, and there we are working in this regards as well. So from that perspective, I look very much forward for the further discussion, and really excited about the progress here in Nice. Hope that the negotiations ongoing will come up with some clear statements that also result in measurable targets. We have been quite happy about that the European Union have agreed on an EU Ocean Pact. That is a strong commitment from the European Union also to work on those topics across different nations. And that's nearby. Somebody up the rig. And that, of course, everything that is regards to the digital ocean twin, sharing of data, sharing information is very important for us. Thanks a lot, and looking forward for the discussion.
Thank you so much, Dr. Knott, for taking out time from Nice for us, especially for this dialogue. We really appreciate it, and we are in alignment with what you have been saying totally, and we wish you a very productive meeting. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Dr. Rishi Sharma, a Senior Fisheries Officer at FAO Asia Pacific and Executive Secretary of APFSI, overseeing 15 regional projects and providing strategic guidance on fisheries and aquaculture. With over 25 years of experience, he has held key roles at FAO, NAOA, IOTC, and CRITFC, specializing in stock assessment, sustainable fisheries, and ecosystem-based management. He authors 50+ peer-reviewed publications and contributed to 100+ reports, focusing on population dynamics, IUU fishing, and sustainable marine resource management. Dr. Sharma, please.
Thank you, Shweta, for the introduction. I will keep it brief, as I realize people have been on fairly long, and I'm going to focus primarily on the importance of fisheries in marine and coastal zones and the nexus with climate, ocean governance, and multisectoral partnerships, sort of what was provided as sort of guidance on what you wanted to hear. Obviously, food security is a big issue in the world. You can see the COVID effect here on. Can you see my screen?
We can see you, but
let me share my screen.
yes, now we can see the screen.
Okay. So essentially, what you see here is the number of millions who really are undernourished, and you can see the effect of COVID, which occurred primarily in from this period here when there's a big spike in it. So it was going down, undernourished were reducing globally, and now we are back up to pretty much where we were about 20 odd years ago. What's more alarming, though, is the issue of like affording a healthy diet. And a lot of the countries that I am overseeing and responsible for in the Asia Pacific, it's a big issue because the nutrition of what people are eating is often not the best. Developed countries, which are on the spectrum up here, they're doing fine. Underdeveloped countries are not doing fine. Hand in hand with that, because of this focus on nutrition, we can see that food security needs are actually coming from this sector quite a bit in terms of protein intake, as well as, micronutrients, which are super important for growth, mental ability, and physical health of juvenile kids, as well as women. So what you see here is capture fisheries is taped off, aquaculture keeps increasing, but this sector is one of the fastest growing sector in terms of food security issues versus animal protein or other types of protein. The other advantage of this sector really is it has a low environmental footprint compared to the other areas such as livestock, cattle, and poultry and pig farming. Aquaculture is really low in terms of its conversion efficiency, and fisheries is absolutely negligible because we are not feeding anything, so it's low. And in terms of the greenhouse gas emissions per gram protein, you can see that the fisheries sector and aquaculture sectors again much lower than a lot of the other demand-driven products. You know, the global production has remained fairly stable over the last 20 odd years, and what you see here is hold on, it's not playing. What you see here is basically the variation in production over time for different parts of the world. And this shows you the leader in seafood production was dominated by Japan till the 50s and 60s. Then this was Peru kind of took over with the big anchoveta fishery. And you'll see that it's dominated in the last half of our data set primarily by the Asian giants, China and India. And you can see that China now really dwarfs everyone else. And Indonesia, India are also extremely important in terms of global fisheries, capture fisheries production. So how do we deal with all this? We basically have our own strategy called Blue Transformation, and it's built on 3 pillars, primarily to have sustainable aquaculture intensification and expansion, with a low carbon footprint, so that we can meet food security demands. The second is to put effective fisheries management and governance structures in place so that you get better outcomes with your fisheries. And a lot of people have alluded to fisheries overfishing. We just took out a recent report in UNOC that has revamped the entire approach that we take on estimating that. And it's basically around 35% overfished. And in cases where you've got good governance and management, this goes down over time. The third objective really is building supply chains and value chains so that for lesser, you can get more. If the product is well marketed and trade formulations incentives are there, you can actually get a higher value product with less capture production. It still doesn't meet the food security issues, but hopefully aquaculture will meet that demand. This was the estimate that came out a couple years ago, and essentially what you see here in our analysis for some parts of the world where fishing intensity was very high, the populations are declining, but as fishing intensity dropped by the 2 estimates shown here, this is a fishing mortality estimate, and this is a mean a catch over mean catch estimate showing the fishing intensity for a region. You start seeing a response. You see the decline and you see a response. So if things are well managed, you do get a better outcome. So going to the topic at hand, how do we look at this within a regional, national, and subnational level? Really looking at cross-border ecosystem management approaches. National levels could be climate resilient policies, example, coastal zoning or emission laws. Subnational could be community-based approaches and in how things are managed in coastal and marine ecosystems. I'm giving you a quick overview of one of our showcase examples, which has 7 countries involved. There used to be 8, but because of political instability, Myanmar is no longer part of this project. And we used to have, and basically there are 6 international partners. There's NGOs, IUCN, Jeff, Norway, under NORAD, CIFDEC, and BOBP, IGO are basically non-governmental organizations, intergovernmental organizations, which manage things in Southeast Asia and South Asia. And obviously FAO is sort of steering this process. This first phase that was run, it began in 2009. We looked at large marine ecosystem context. We focused on knowledge generation and capacity development. And then we focused on a transboundary diagnostic analysis with a strategic action plan for the region. And we went in for a phase 2. It took a long time. The plans and everything were agreed in 2015, but it took signatories and funding availability to come in closer to 2022, though everything was ready in 2019. But the new project focuses actually on delivery on the ground, marine living resources, critical habitat, water quality, social economic consideration. And essentially this new project it came out of the first phase, focused on sustainable management of fisheries, on restoration and conservation, management of coastal marine pollution, improved livelihoods in the region. So using basically, ecosystem approaches to fisheries, making them more climate resilient, looking at mitigating for habitat loss and minimizing sort of pollution restrictions in the seas. So how does this work, and why is it that important? What you've asked us to really look at, interactive governance and partnerships. It really is important because you get people talking to one another, linking things like tourism, fisheries, urban planning, and you have an interdisciplinary sort of approach to solving problems. So it breaks sector silos. There are examples of public-private partnerships with climate risk insurance for coastal businesses, civil society, indigenous knowledge. We've heard people on this seminar right now really talking about how that is used and incorporated in adaptation plans. You can see the success really of something like this in Bangladesh, the Delta Plan. It was to reduce flood risk. It raised $7 billion with public-private partnerships, and it really had an impact with infrastructure development to mitigate for flood damage and losses over like a fairly long time period. And such models really are key to scale up within these areas. And you have to find that common nexus between the 3 sort of entities that you would be targeting your funding sources from, because if you can't, then it's going to fail. And I'll leave off with this last slide really on experiences that I've faced over my 30-odd year career. It's not easy. You really have to build relationships and contacts. You have to have the will and knowledge to really achieve, some targets that from an evidence-based perspective, convince policy people. You have to come to some common ground, and thereby, if you're a pure scientist, you may have to give some of your agenda on science away to, livelihoods and policy issues, which are more important from a country or a funding perspective. And you need the right mix of technical skills and knowledge and the right, funding environment really, which is looking for that. So you have to target what you're trying to achieve with that. the key really is focusing on these three elements: governance, finance, and innovation. And I'll leave you with that. I unfortunately have to get out. It's pretty late in my office here, so I am going to have to leave the meeting. Unfortunately, it's 9 o'clock here. So
No problem, Rishi. Thank you so much for your intervention. And of course, governance, finance, and data sharing, and some of these things which you've spoken about is, very important issues which needs to be addressed. And here we are talking about coastal ecosystems, but not just coastal ecosystem, any ecosystem if it needs to be restored. These are the three factors which needs to be clear. We will then call on our next speaker, Dr. Sanjeeva Kumar Balyas Singh. He's a scientist at the India National Center for Ocean Information Services. He has completed his PhD in marine sciences. He has oceanographic research experience spanning more than a decade. His thrust area of research includes plankton ecology, water quality assessment, and ocean color remote sensing. Mr. Balyas Singh, please.
Yeah, sorry, I unmuted myself. Okay, good morning and good evening, good afternoon to all. So I thank Dr. Arvind for this platform to represent my institute. Actually, my director is preoccupied, so I am representing on behalf of him. So as mentioned by Sweta ji, so I belong to INCOIS, that is the Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services. So this is actually a autonomous body under the Indian Ministry of Earth Sciences. So unlike other institutes that deal with research and development and also action plans against climate change to mitigate climate change impacts, so my institute is mandated to provide ocean value chain services. Basically, we do ocean monitoring and develop different ocean value chain services. For example, like early tsunami warning service, then potential fishing zone advisory service, coral bleaching alert service, algal bloom information service, so on and so forth. So these are our major tasks and major services. So I would like to add here that basically we are mandated to provide this ocean data, information, advisory service to the society, different industries, different stakeholders of different government agencies, scientific community, through sustained ocean observation and constant improvements through systematic and focused research, and which aids in the management and also in ocean modeling. So in the context to this present means this ensuing policy dialogue, so I would like to share like that we are already in the job. Basically, although we are not conserving the ecosystem, although we are not mitigating the impacts of climate change, but we are providing the important informations specifically tailored to this North Indian Ocean region. And now we have extended our services for small island nations in Pacific Islands also, and also Indian Ocean rim countries. So as you know, this I'm not going to tell much detail about this climate change impacts in context to the ocean, because already the eminent speakers and panelists have already detailed it. So now I'm confining my opinion in context to my institute. So already we have some services. For example, we have a flagship program like potential fishing zone advisory services. So I can say like that it is proven to reduce almost the fuel consumption about 30 to 70%. While on the other hand, it has improved the catch efficiency up to 5 times. So why I'm telling this? This is directly supporting the low emission livelihoods. We are talking about carbon dioxide, carbon emission. So by providing the exact means probable location of these available locations, so almost more than 9 million fisher folks of India, they are using our services. So in that way, we are helping to mitigate the impacts of climate change. Same for oil spill advisories. So we have a program like oil spill advisory system. Nowadays, this ship traffic is much more, and oil tankers are moving. Oil tanker traffic is also very high. So in the cases of this oil spill, any accidents, so we have our monitoring system. Immediately we provide services to contain the oil spill and how to salvage the incident. So these are just examples. We are also dealing with this coastal vulnerability. So for the first time in India, we have prepared a coastal vulnerability index map, one atlas, so that necessary actions can be taken by the decision makers, the planners and managers. And similarly, we are also making different coastal villages of India as tsunami ready, so that if anything happens, they can immediately initiate the evacuation process, and so that the loss of life can be avoided. As one of the eminent speakers spoken about coral bleaching. So although we do not have massive coral patches, but two of the island areas of India like Lakshadweep Islands and Andaman Nicobar Islands, they have a vast coral patch. So with this impact of climate change, basically due to this rise in sea surface temperature, many times we are experiencing coral bleaching. So coral bleaching is not only due to by this surface temperature increase, it is also due to any kind of environmental stimuli that impacts that results in the coral death. We call it as bleaching. So nowadays, now experiencing one thing, the algal bloom. So due to the algal bloom in Indian coastal areas, in coral reef areas, the dissolved oxygen concentration declines. And due to the decline of dissolved oxygen concentration, this symbiotic relationship between the coral, animal and plant, it ends up. And that results in coral bleaching. We are also having eye on that. We through our service, it is called CBUS, Coral Bleaching Alert System. So we are providing timely information to the scientific community and the coastal planners. So uh, parallelly, we have also developed a marine energy atlas so that this renewable energy can be harnessed. Basically, this ocean through ocean thermal gradients, tidal energy, wave energy. So recently, we have developed that atlas and we have circulated it to all the stakeholders. So we are on it through different programs of the government of India. And in context to citizen science, as other speakers also spoke about, as per the UNESCO guidelines, as per this SDG 14 norms also, people need to be aware of regarding this, what scientific community is doing for them. So in that context, we have developed a Android mobile application basically. So through that, we are getting information like something is happening in coastal areas or even in open ocean. So they have our application in their mobiles. So suppose there is a algal bloom, suppose there is a jellyfish swarming, suppose there is a coastal erosion, they immediately take photographs and provide some information, and that automatically becomes geotagged and we get the information, and through our models and our observing systems through different satellites, we analyze the event and provide necessary information to the management agencies. So we are on it. And regarding the capacity building, I think many of you know like that we are hosting the Category 2 UNESCO certified Category 2 capacity building center at INCOIS. It is called International Training Center for Operational Oceanography. Every year we conduct more than 20 training programs, and we cater our training programs to all Indian Ocean Rim countries. Even sometimes we are getting participants from United States and then South America, North America, and all around the globe. So we are on it, and we are working in alignment with IOC. Myself, I am also a member of IOC's task team on harmful algal bloom, that panel. So entire my institute is mandated towards what is this policy dialogue is based on, and what we are discussing, we are already on it. So if anything, I'm not saying much more thing about this. If anything is there, I'm ready to answer. Means actually in Indian context, actually we are more than 1.5 billion population. So we are too much worried about our coastal population. How to safeguard them from this climate change induced impacts. There are a multitude of things. So we are doing our best, whatever we can, and under this government's plan 2047 mission, we are developing many of the indigenous systems in alignment with the international agencies, so to mitigate the impacts of climate change. So thank you all for this opportunity, and I'm here to answer any of the queries regarding my institute's roles and our involvement in this action plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Balyar Singh, and apprising us of the work that INCOIS is doing. And it's very important that all the communities and stakeholders are aware that the scientific community is also doing something for them. Thank you so much. My next speaker for the evening is Ms. Ine Molat. She is a valorization manager at the Flanders Marin Institute, or known as VLIS, Belgium, with over 20 years of experience in blue economy projects and science policy industry transfer. Formerly an environmental manager at Jan de Nul, she contributed to numerous coastal and offshore initiatives. At VLIS, she leads national and international projects on marine protection, nature-based solutions, and coastal management, collaborating with diverse stakeholders to promote the sustainable long-term use of marine environment. Ms. Molat, please.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone here in the call. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me, and thank you to all the previous speakers also. I've heard a lot of things already this afternoon, a lot of things that I was going to mention, or at least that I like to hear because they're very interesting and important to mention. So I will focus a bit on some specific examples from what I'm experiencing here in Belgium. So the VLIS is a Flanders Marine Institute. Indeed, we are located in Ostend in Belgium. It's a very small country compared to India, and we also have a very, very tiny coastline compared to India. Nevertheless, we have a large community of researchers, of innovators, of people working on and in the marine environment. So that's why I want to give some examples specifically of the Belgian situation. VLIS itself is a research institute which, of course, as a research institute, we try to gain as much knowledge as possible about our marine and coastline, marine environments and coastal environments, but also we want to share it as widely as possible. We have a large history of sharing it with the citizens and also towards policy. But since 2017, we work very closely also with the blue economy sector here in Flanders. So that's some examples I want to present a bit on today as well. VLIS has also is involved, in a lot of data management platform or data portals that we provide. So in that respect, I will also share a bit of information. So I mentioned Belgium has a very small coastline. Our coastline is mainly consisting of sandy coastlines, so a sandy coast, and our marine area is also mainly a sandy or muddy surface underground. It's also a shallow area in the North Sea. But what is very interesting here in our area is that it's a very, very occupied area. The coastline is very occupied with tourism, with local fishermen, with coastal protection projects, etc. But also the marine environment with the offshore engineering, offshore wind projects, the fisheries, the marine protection areas, etc. It's very, very occupied. So we need to really work together with all the stakeholders that are involved in these activities. And that's what I want to point a bit towards, according to the 3 questions that you asked us about the strategic actions, for example. There is very important that we, in Belgium and the climate adaptation plan, we focus on not only climate adaptation, but also biodiversity. And we try to combine that with the nature-based solutions initiatives that we put in place. An example there is regarding our coastline. A regional or a national actually initiative there, strategic action, is the Coastal Vision project, where the government is set up a project where we want to look at 100 years from here and make a long-term plan, let's say, for a coastal adaptation. And in that plan, we also use nature-based solutions to also enhance biodiversity. Regarding the second question, and I think this is something I really want to stress about, is the interactor governance mechanism. So really the interaction with all the stakeholders bottom up, from the people living on the coastline, the people visiting the coastline, with the local authorities, with the local fishermen. So it is something that really we try to engage as much as possible the local stakeholders, and it worked so far in most of these plans. It's for the marine spatial planning, for the Coastal Vision project, but also for other smaller initiatives. We engage all different stakeholders as much as possible, but especially also the citizens, the local people, because that's very important to increase the support, to increase the awareness. So it's known everywhere globally. I think it's something that's been repeated this afternoon, but also in other seminars or everywhere you go, it's mentioned again and again, this local citizen engagement, local awareness, local just having the locals building ownerships. That's what I wanted to mention, is very important. Just a more international example, how VLIS is also involved a bit in that. VLIS is working together with the Flemish government on a UNESCO project for mangroves. And it's a Flemish UNESCO trust fund where VLIS is responsible as well. And it's mainly to work with the local communities, local citizens, to raise this awareness, because it's only once you have this awareness raising that you will be able to have sustainable projects, especially, for example, with these mangroves. Going from this citizen engagement, I want to step up to the stakeholders, so the more business, blue economy stakeholders, because they're an example in Belgium is that we work very closely with the blue economy sector, and we have some projects and initiatives where there's a funding both from the government for policy, but also funding through the private sector. And together they fund innovation, research projects and innovation projects. So an example there is, for example, the Coast Busters project. It's an initiative where we worked with the industry to try and bring back the oyster and mussel reefs to the Belgian marine waters, in order to use them to help us against the erosion of the sand, because there's a lot of, as I mentioned, Belgium has a very sandy coastline, but because of the currents and the storms and the increased storms with the climate change, we need to keep the sand more in place instead of continuously refilling the sand with sand from offshore waters. So we're looking at alternatives, and they're using biogenic reefs is a nice nature-based solution. And for this effort, we work together with the industry, researchers, and the government to try and realize this. So this is a really nice example. So we have some of these research and innovation projects. We try to bring them up to pilots at a bit larger scale. So also there we work closely together. But then in the long term, where I want to come to is, of course, we need to scale up even bigger. Although bigger in Belgium is still very small, but still, as an example, for larger project, you need to be able to scale up. And there comes it was mentioned before this afternoon, is ecosystem services and the principle of natural capital, and how you transfer these ecosystem services into your business model, because this is very important. And it's very hard to do so, because it's been in the picture for years and decades, I think. And there's a lot happening, but still it seems to be very, very hard to achieve this. And I think this is really steps that need to be taken, still to be done. And we're on a good way. We're doing some projects in Belgium to try to include this in business models, but we're still not there. So I think this is something internationally that we need mechanisms to be able to do this. So I want to just finish off also with one more thing, and it's about, because VLIS is very much busy with data and models, and also is together with some partners responsible for the European digital twin of the ocean. And what we see here in Belgium is also the importance of linking the different, all the different data that is there, but also the different models that exist, because the ecosystems do not, the different habitats and the different models do not work alone. It is a big interaction. There's a lot of processes ongoing. So the digital twin of the ocean, or at least the coupling of all the data and the models, is very necessary also in making good decision making. So and I leave it at this, and if there's any further questions, I'm happy to answer that.
Thank you so much, Renee, for walking us through what all BLES is doing in this sector. And I thank you for taking out time for us to be there in this event. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll come once again to you for your closing comments. So we'll start from Dr. Arvind Kumar. Your closing comment, please.
Well, I feel after listening a lot of good speaker, so effective communication of knowledge to influence policy and practice is critical and need to target all levels and sectors from global negotiators and multinational companies to key sectors impacted by climate change and community resource users, such as fishers. Those livelihoods are highly vulnerable. Also strengthening recognition of indigenous and local knowledge in small island developing states and enhanced transdisciplinary collaboration between all sectors and actors is essential, since there is a huge disconnection between the upstream and the ocean ecosystems. There should be an effort to convene a dialogue between different knowledge communities to achieve holistic thinking in addressing the topic of ocean, coastal, and ecosystem areas. Coastal communities, particularly in small island developing states, are heavily reliant on marine resources for jobs and food security. So engaging these community, including women, indigenous people, and other vulnerable groups in conservation, restoration, and the sustainable management of natural habitat is win-win. Not only what is provided much needed income in the short term, but also builds socio-economic resilience in the long term. So thank you very much. Yeah.
You are muted.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. I request Ms. Jima, please, for her closing comment.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all panelists for that very enriched discussion. I can see two things. One is the importance of blended finance, public-private philanthropy for filling the gap of the high gap in terms of building resilience through climate change adaptation actions. The focus on nature-based solution, a solution that is inclusive to the coastal community, to the vulnerable community, indigenous people, is important. The last one is changing promises to action is important. We need to move forward to practical actions to conserve, restore, and sustainably use our ecosystem, and also preserve some for the next generation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Jima. Dr. Knott?
I would like to thank the audience. It's a bit noisy around, so I keep it short. Thanks a lot, and keep accelerating our action. Given these. Thanks.
Dr. Balyar Singh, any closing comment from your side?
Yeah, actually, I would like to thank all the panelists for this wonderful and very informative discussion. I also learned many things how this global community works, and I also would like to thank India Water Foundation for holding this dialogue. Definitely, I would like to convey what the happenings of this dialogue to my director. And we are already aligned with different international agencies, and we will also keep India Water Foundation also in the loop in our activities. So basically, for me, it is like a very good learning session. Means instead of giving my inputs, I learned many things. Means how to take the science to the public for their safety, for enriching their livelihood, and to ultimately mitigate the impact of climate change. So thank you all.
Thank you, Sanjeeva. Ine, any
Yes,
closing comments?
yes, thank you. I also just want to thank everyone, and maybe one final thing that I've heard a lot this afternoon, and that I want to stress also, is that for these large investments that we want to see happening, large flow of capital towards marine initiatives, towards coastal management, marine management, there might need some more incentives, let's say, or initiatives and set in place through, and I think it's mainly through policy and frameworks, and then hopefully we will get more initiatives from investors to take part in the marine management for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ine. And Dr. Sanjeeva, even India Water Foundation would be very keen to work closely with INCOIS on various other initiatives that you have ongoing. Thank you so much. So after listening to all the interventions, going through the presentations, I can say that resilient ocean systems rely on robust financial mechanisms to ensure ongoing protection and support of local livelihoods, especially in the face of global upheaval. Diverse investments in a blue economy can support healthy and resilient ocean ecosystems while also addressing local needs and priorities to ensure equitable distribution of economic benefits, not only expanding economic opportunity, but also allowing communities to adapt more quickly to economic disruptions or climate upheaval. We have to explore strategies for sustainable harvesting, focusing on reducing the negative impacts of overfishing, which exacerbates biodiversity loss. To successfully implement long-term ocean and coastal management plans, it is critical that governments incorporate indigenous and local knowledge in planning and decision-making process to ensure that these processes are inclusive and equitable. To achieve coastal resilience, we have to integrate ocean and coastal management into surrounding frameworks, such as urban, catchment, and land use planning. By shifting traditional infrastructure to blue infrastructure, can increase resilience to changing climate conditions, support sustainable development of local communities, and minimize the loss of ecosystem services. While the complicated task of governance will differ from country to country, solutions must be backed by innovative science, research, and integrated management. Through inclusive regional coordination, partnerships, collaborations, and more frequent dialogues. Protecting the world's ocean requires a combination of policy changes, technological advancements, and individual actions. By working together at all levels, governments, businesses, and individuals, humanity can take meaningful steps to preserve these vital ecosystems for future generations. We have to remember, investment in our ocean is an investment in our survival. Thank you so much, all the experts, dignitaries, speakers, delegates, participants who have joined from all time zones. Thank you so much. We have received a couple of questions that we would be sharing with you, and we would look out for some answers. Because of the paucity of time, I would not share it now. Thank you so much for all of you to be becoming a part of this dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Excellent. Bye-bye.